Okay guys, let's do some passive release techniques for the pec major. So get asked this a lot. This technique is, once again, it's like all passive release techniques, it's about trying to free up as much of the range of movement as you can. So these are techniques that I always use when I want to try and improve the range of movement, as opposed to looking at, just engaging with trigger points and so forth. So for those of you that are doing a lot of trigger point work, which is awesome, don't get me wrong, I love it because obviously we get referral, reproduction of symptoms. We always want to try and follow up with some sort of passive release technique. So if we were talking about doing some work to the shoulder or the shoulder girdle or to the neck or any or subsidiary of those areas, especially if you've got athletes that are coming in, they don't necessarily have to have injuries. This is just more about trying to free them up. It'll certainly help improve their range of movement and just their freedom of movement as well. So once again, it's like it's engaging the tissue as we're working through the range. So that's why I love so much about it. So I'm going to look at the pec first. Obviously, this is going to be different with women. Obviously because of the breast tissue. So you'll probably find, depending on how large the breast is, you're only going to work the upper part of the pec. But obviously when we're talking with guys, we've got so much more of the pec muscle to work with. So I'll obviously take you through that range. So the first thing is, where do you position them? So what we're going to do is just place the arm in between your arms. So you've got that stable. You sort of lift the shoulder up towards you, which obviously what does is loosens off the pec for us, and that's what we want, because obviously we're going to work through that range and through that tissue as well. So what we're going to start with first is probably more that clavicular part of the pec major, and then we're going to work down sternally, and then basically after that, then we can start to really try and see what sort of range of movement we've got left over. So sometimes it's really good just to check what sort of range they have. Okay, so just bringing it up, make sure there's no pinching or anything in the back of their shoulder so that you can explore these ranges of movement. This technique obviously is going to be so much different because you're bringing the tissue down. So you want to try and start up high here. You're going to use your fingertips. So if you find the clavicle, you're going to come over and pick it up. You're also going to lift underneath at the same time. So what we're going to do is bring it up first, and then we're going to bring it down and work through into that range like so. And then we can pick up more of the pec this way. So you don't want to be pinching off at the end, because that just wouldn't be pleasant, would it, Dan?
No.
No. So if we get to this point here, you need to blend off, all right? So you don't want to get to that point where you're pinching the tissue, okay? Reposition, up again, and then back down. So really trying to work through that tissue. Once again, we're engaging the tissue not for trigger point work, but just to free up that tissue as we work through that range. Like so. And remember, when we come up to the anterior part of the shoulder, you're going to find that it blends over. You've got the deltoid here, so you don't want to get caught up into this area. You've got coracobrachialis coming in there as well, which is great for trigger point work. There's no doubt about it. We have the trigger point right up high in here, coracobrachialis. We're just concentrating on the pec itself here. You can also, and I mean in some of my courses, you can also see range of movement stuff that we do, especially in the shoulder masterclass and so forth, where we come in and engage the tissue up into abduction, a little bit of external rotation, back down, bringing it up, and then you're working along the fibers as well. So once again, just trying to engage as much of the tissue through the range as we can. And it's really important that you check their range of movement so there's no catching, grabbing, impingement signs on that. So you want to be doing this at the end of your treatments if you've been doing your trigger point work, like so. Okay, and you'll see Dan's nice and relaxed, nothing worse than your clients fighting you on this. Back down and along. All right, so that's pec major.